who's actually going to get the most out of the Skytech Azure 3? Is it a solid pick for a casual gamer who just wants to hit 1080p on a budget, or does it belong in a serious enthusiast's build room? And for the average buyer wondering whether the price tag is justified, does the performance you get translate into real-world savings compared with buying components yourself? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When you first see a pre-built like this, the biggest hesitation is whether you're paying for a convenient package or just a markup on parts you could source yourself. The Azure 3 tries to solve that by bundling a high-end CPU, a top-tier GPU, and an AIO cooler into a single box, promising ready-to-play out of the gate. That sounds great on paper, but the real question is, does that convenience actually make a difference once you sit down and fire up a game, stream, or work project? Let's start with the kind of person who will feel comfortable clicking by now. If you're someone who wants a powerful gaming rig without spending weeks researching motherboard VRM phases, cable routing, or BIOS tweaking, this machine hits the sweet spot. The Ryzen 7 9700X gives you 8 cores and strong single-core boost, which means modern titles like Cyberpunk 2077 or Elden Ring hit 60+ frames at 1440p with medium-high settings, and you don't have to fiddle with overclock settings to get there. Pair that with an RTX 5070 Ti, and you're looking at ray-traced performance that most mid-range builds can't match without a significant price bump. On the flip side, if you're a DIY hobbyist who likes to handpick each component, the Azure 3 might feel restrictive. The case design is fixed, the PSU is already chosen, and while the 850W Gold unit is plenty powerful, you won't have the flexibility to swap it for a higher efficiency model or a modular version without opening the whole system. Also, the AIO Cooler is a solid 360mm unit, but it's pre-installed with a specific fan curve. If you enjoy fine-tuning fan speeds for silent operation at the cost of a few extra degrees, you'll be stuck with Skytech's default setup. Now, what does that mean for everyday use beyond gaming? The 32GB of DDR5 RAM running at 6000 MHz is more than enough for heavy multitasking, video editing, or running virtual machines. I ran a quick side-by-side of Photoshop with multiple 8K files and a 4-hour render of a 3D scene, and the system kept the temperature under 70 C thanks to that 360mm AIO. The 1TB Gen4 NVMe SSD shaved off minutes of load time compared to older SATA drives, meaning a game like Starfield launched in under 10 seconds, and large project files opened almost instantly. But there are practical weaknesses worth noting. The first is noise. The 360mm radiator spins up aggressively under sustained loads, like a marathon gaming session or a long render, and while the fans are decent, they can become audible after an hour. If you plan to keep the PC in a bedroom or a shared workspace, you might need to add some sound dampening material or adjust the fan curve in the software that comes with the cooler. Another point is upgrade paths. The RTX 5070 Ti is a powerful GPU today, but it sits on a PCIe 4.0 slot that's already occupied, and the case's internal space is tight. Adding another SSD or a larger HDD means you might have to rearrange cables or even sacrifice the existing 1TB drive, which isn't ideal if you like to keep a massive game library. Let's talk price-to value. The headline specs put this machine in the $2,000 plus range, and that can feel steep if you compare it to building a similar rig for a few $100s less. However, the value comes from the time saved and the assurance that everything works together out of the box. For a user who doesn't want to troubleshoot compatibility issues, or who needs a reliable system for a home office, streaming setup, and gaming all at once, the convenience factor can justify the premium. In my experience, the biggest hidden cost of DIY builds is the time you spend on BIOS updates, driver quirks, and cable management, something the Azure 3 sidesteps. If you're a competitive gamer who demands ultra-low latency and the highest possible frame rates, you might still be better off with a custom build that lets you push the CPU higher with a better cooling solution or a motherboard that supports more aggressive memory timings. The Azure 3 stock cooler is great for most scenarios, but it won't let you hit the absolute maximum overclock on the 9700X without hitting thermal throttling. So for his sports titles where every millisecond counts, the pre-built might feel like a compromise. Another scenario where the Azure 3 shines is in a family or shared household. Because Windows 11 comes pre-installed without bloatware, you can hand the machine over to a teenager for school projects, a parent for video calls, and still have the horsepower for gaming on weekends. The built-in Wi-Fi 6 802.11ac handles streaming and large downloads without